Blocks are the third important set of templates we'll be modifying for our custom flower theme. Block template variables are a bit different from both the node and page template variables we covered in previous chapters. In this video, I will show you how block templates are structured and how their variables are different from what we've learned before. So let's go and look at the standard block template that is already provided in Drupal core. So we'll open the Drupal 6 folder, and we're going to look at the block template file that's available in the modules system folder. And the file name is block.tpl.php. So let's view this in our text editor. We see that there's actually not too much code in this template, and we see that there are variables available to us for block templates, just like we've seen in node and page templates. Let me point out a couple of the important variables that we're going to see in a block template and actually how they're formatted differently from other variables that we've been seeing so far. First is the block title. This variable is actually block subject. And we see that there's actually this kind of little almost arrow character that is in the middle between the word block and subject. You need to be sure that you copy the whole variable name starting from the $sign all the way to the end of the name when you're copying these, because if you leave off any characters, then that's actually going to be an invalid variable and you won't see your text printed to the screen. The second important variable for block templates is the content variable. So we see that block content is actually going to be printing out the body content of a block. And let's see where that happens in our Hansel and Petal site as it is now. So here's our flower shop. We see that there is the title or the subject of each block that's rendered. And we also see that there is the content area rendering for each block. So let's go back to the block template. And now let's look at the markup that's involved here. And we see, just like in nodes, the templates for blocks start with a div tag. The ID of a block is provided by Drupal, and we'll learn more about that in one of the next videos. We also see that every block gets a CSS class of block plus a dynamic class that is actually covered by modules that we'll be also covering in one of the next videos. So here's the code that actually outputs the markup for the block subject or title of the block. We see that the conditional logic in PHP here is stating on line 30 that if the block has a subject, then Drupal needs to print out this heading tag along with the subject text. And then, of course, with the beginning of an if statement is the end of the if statement, line 32. This means that the subject is optional for blocks. What is not optional for blocks is the content markup. So we see that there's a div with the class of content, and then we see that Drupal prints the block's content. We can hit this content with CSS, just like we can hit the class of the entire block with CSS. Throughout this chapter, we'll be seeing the block variables used in all our block templates. So be mindful of how these variables are formatted differently from other template variables that we covered in the course.